And I'm now delighted to be joined by Sean Kelly, who's Fine Gael MEP for Ireland. So, Sean, you're very welcome to Callan. You're in the throes of a European election. You know, Europe has come a long way from a trading bloc that Ireland joined in 1973, and you know, it influences many different parts of our lives these days.
Yeah, delighted to be here in Callan. It's not my first time here. I've seen it a few times before with Cllr Joe Lyons, who's a very good friend of mine, and I have a lot of connections with Callan. And obviously it's now part of the Ireland South constituency, stretching from half of Leinster down to the full 6 counties of Munster, and you have to try and cover as much ground as you possibly can. It's not easy, but it's great to meet the people, and particularly to get to know the current issues that are affecting people on the ground. And while Europe sometimes may feel a bit remote from maybe ordinary citizens, at the same time I think it's where a lot of the decisions are initiated, at least, if not finally decided. So it's very important that we would have that opportunity to meet the people and to express what we can do for them and what they want to say to us.
And you've been an MEP for 15 years. I'm sure there's plenty of standout moments, but we're here in Callan, which would be, you know, a very agricultural town. Agriculture is a big issue, and how important is it that Ireland retains its matrix derogation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, agriculture is the major industry in Ireland, so it's different to most of the other member states. So it's a special case in terms of our grass-based system, and the derogation, I think, is justified, and I think it can be maintained. One of the things I hope to do if I'm re-elected, because I'm part of the biggest group in the European Parliament, EPP, and we have obviously therefore more influence, and I've been there for 15 years, you say, would know my way around, is to conduct a meeting with stakeholders, ask all the Irish MEPs and the government and the farm organisations to come together to commit to holding the derogation, I think, for at least 5 years. I mean, 1 year is no use to it. How can a farmer plan or anybody plan a business? Yeah. So, and it will also give you time to improve the water quality and put pressure, I think, on urban councils as well, to put in proper water treatment places where there are difficulties, and there are. So all that has to be addressed, and I think if we could do that, I have no doubt that the farmers would be well able to manage within the
there is a lot of, you were at an IFA meeting there a couple of weeks back here in Gorn in County Kilkenny. There is a lot of frustration out there, particularly around CAP and many of the other agricultural issues that they're facing.
Yeah, I mean, the main issue in relation to CAP currently is probably the red tape associated with it, and that's something we've raised in Europe, and I've actually got a commitment from Ursula von der Leyen to reduce red tape by 25%, and that's not just in terms of reducing regulation by 25%, but is the administration. What many people don't realise, the administration is made worse by the department, because we just basically pass general rules. They then have to work out the schemes, and they make the schemes so complicated that farmers either have to spend their whole time doing it themselves, or if not, pay somebody else to do it for them, and that's not what it was intended to be. So I think reducing the administrative burden by 25% or more, and to have it far simpler, is fierce important. And then of course, going forward, to maintain the budget and increase the budget in actual fact, because you will need an increase budget if you are to keep food sustainability and security, and also do environmental measures. So I think distinguishing between Pillar 1 and Pillar 2, and particularly increasing Pillar 1 for productivity, because that's what agriculture is about. It's about producing food. So if you don't recognise that, then how are you going to use it?
And it's important not to forget the fishermen, and they've feel since Brexit that Ireland has got a raw deal as regards its fishing quotas.
They have, and they're right in that, but we're working, because I'm the first vice chair of the, what they call the PPA, the Parliamentary Partnership Assembly. That's members from the European Parliament, the House of Commons, the House of Lords. We've identified areas where there are difficulties, where things are being very difficult for Irish fishers, and that has to be addressed. And I think also there again, the whole question of quotas for fishermen has to be looked at, and I think the same applies to as the derogation. Going from year to year is very unfair, and they should be given at least a couple of years where they would know what they are entitled to.
Ireland has some of the richest, fishing waters in the world, and you have foreign U-boats coming in and taking a larger portion of fish. It's a little bit unfair.
It is, and you have also boats from outside the European Union, like Norway, maybe some in Iceland as well, and they have that has to change. But we'll really have to sit down, look at it, and come to a fairer distribution. And I think they have a very strong case in that regard.
I suppose another big issue that's impacting all over Europe and Ireland in particular at the moment is migration. There's a new migration pact. Will that help Ireland deal with the problems that it's facing at the moment? Because we see the scenes in Dublin with the tents on the Grand Canal. That's not sustainable.
No, it's not sustainable, and I suppose in fairness the migration issue came upon us rather suddenly, particularly with the war in Ukraine, and he said that we took in over 100,000, which nobody would have expected us to do, and we did it in a very generous manner. Now there are other areas, particularly people looking for international protection, and then of course the complicated issue of the United Kingdom and the open border, which we sought and fought for, and Brexit being utilised by people to come in illegally. So I think quick processing is the key here, and in fairness the government are now putting more resources at their disposal. So if people are entitled to be here, then let's deal with them quickly and probably get them into the workforce as soon as possible. If they're not entitled to be here, then I think they have to be told, no, sorry, you're not here legally, you're not entitled to international protection, and we have to see them return back. Because one of the things I see happening, and it was never intended this way, that hotels in many parts of Ireland are now occupied by refugees or asylum seekers, which means that there are no tourists there, so the businesses are suffering. That was never intended to be, and that's unfair, so we have to address those things and bring a bit of more practicality to it and deal with it.
Like Kilkenny, you're from Kerry, which is very reliant on tourism.
Absolutely, and it's a short season as well, so if they don't get a chance, then they won't be able to afford their business and they'll go to the wall. So those things, but in fairness I think Simon Harris actually addressed that in his first speech to the Fine Gael Ardèche, and I think he will work on it to ensure that those issues will not be arising into the future. Always nice talking to you. Best of luck to Kilkenny and Kerry in the championship this year.
Thanks a million.
Thank you.